My life was totally changed, but I still missed my grandpa. My younger siblings borrowed comic books. They stacked the comic books higher than my pillow, and when my first younger brother finished reading them first, he would turn them over to the second younger brother. When my little brother finishes reading, it's my turn next. When I finish reading a comic book, I tell my aunt, who is watching us from the side, about the content of the comic book I just read. Aunt Jaya couldn't read. Aunt Jaya tied her long hair back in a braid. She was a pretty girl with a straight nose and small eyes. She seemed to be 19 years old, her age at that time. Two bachelors liked the pretty and good-natured Jaya aunt. The two bachelors worked in a printing shop. I started calling the tall, handsome young man, Big Uncle. And the young man who was a little shorter than the Big Uncle, Little Uncle, so we all started calling them like that. Dad expanded his small shop into the space next to the shoe store and opened a restaurant that serves Korean pancake made with mung beans ground on a millstone, as well as pork ribs grilled with the taste of the aunt's cooking. It was a tiny restaurant built out of the longing of a displaced father. Haiju House is the name. In reality, it was a restaurant without a name, but I gave it a name. A restaurant where Wangha-do Haiju food is always prepared in abundance. It was called a restaurant, but for people who spoke in a North Korean dialect, it was almost like a free restaurant. The meal Aunt Jaya prepared for the big and little uncles who came to eat lunch was happiness itself. Whenever we had to do some hard work or do some home repairs, a tall, strong man would come over to help us after work at the print shop. One day Aunt Jaya whispered to me, "Oh Yi and Wu, give me some lessons. I need to learn how to read and write letters now." The little uncle gave a letter to Aunt Jaya. Aunt Jaya asked me to read it. Around that time, my hair started to grow out in clumps, like a duck hatching from an egg and starting to grow feathers. My aunt and I lived in the same house, but we each grew up in different ways. Aunt Jaya was growing up, smiling quietly on her own, receiving attention from the older and younger uncles. And I was growing up so much that I had to go on to middle school. Although I survived the typhoid epidemic dramatically and fortunately did not become mute, my school grades were poor. It was partly because I had been absent for a long time, but I missed my grandfather's house and didn't want to study. At my grandfather's house, the environment was quiet and I could only read books. But at my mother's house, which was located behind a shoe store in the market, it was the complete opposite. Even though there were piles of newspapers, I didn't grind ink or practice calligraphy. My grandfather, who used to be so happy to see me write with a crooked brush, was no longer around, and no one ever told me to write with a brush. Even as winter approached, I didn't even think about knitting needles and yarn. Aunt Jaya's Heiju restaurant next to the shoe store always smelled like bindaetuk fried in pork fat. Around dinner time, Mr. Lining, wearing thick glasses, comes in. Mr. Lining said that his hometown was Pyongan province and that he had a wife and daughter left behind in the North Korea. But he knew he couldn't go back to his hometown, so he remarried a woman with a round face like the moon, and they had a cute daughter. My mother and aunt often talked about Mr. Lining. He worked in the field of making parts that went into cars, and the name of the part was lining. So we called him Mr. Lining. Mr. Lining was wearing thick glasses, spoke Japanese fluently and English well. During my free evenings, I read comic books to Aunt Jaya, and she followed along, line by line. In the early evening, we were studying Korean with comic books at the dining table when Mr. Lining came in and looked at us. And he praised me with the words I, who had truly longed to hear, longed to hear. Ito, ito, yoshi yoshi. When I heard that, I cried so sadly. I missed my grandfather so much. At that time, it felt like my grandfather, whom I had never forgotten for a moment, was next to me. Resonance. I believe in resonance. Wavelength and resonance are the same thing. I had to take private lessons to prepare for the middle school exam. One winter evening, I was getting ready to go to my tutor's house when my mom came in a hurry. The railroad man came to my mother and told her that my grandmother had collapsed. Around the same time that I was missing my grandfather, hearing the words, Yoshi Yoshi, my grandmother collapsed. Even though we couldn't be together, we were thinking of each other and missing each other. Mom and Dad were busy preparing to go to Grandpa's house. I also wanted to go with my parents so badly, but I couldn't say anything. 3 days later, my parent returned and told me the grandmother was hospitalized. The grandmother collapsed from a cerebral hemorrhage and never regained consciousness. Mom said, if I pass the middle school exam, let's go to Grandpa's house together. I had to pass the middle school exam. Because I had to go to my grandfather's house to see my grandmother.